Which one of these golden girls is forgetting the golden rule?
I've never known so many nasty people in all my life, and they go to the same church.
I do not go to Miss Thomas' church.
I don't care where you go. You need to go somewhere.
We have it established. We all need to go to church. Now let's move on to the next subject.
And later, this kind of car financing gets bumpy.
This is the worst type of deal you could ever do, is to try to sell a car like this.
I think that's why we're here, because he's upset about his credit.
You're here because there was an agreement that you would make monthly payments on a car, and you stopped making the payments. So the question is, why?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Carolyn Holland is responsible for removing the contents of her late sister-in-law's apartment, but says the landlord won't give her access to the unit. She is suing for the value of the items in the apartment. Defendant Freddie Roper says she gave the plaintiff plenty of access and time to get the contents out. She is countersuing for unpaid rent.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Holland versus Roper.
Thank you, Barbara. Carolyn Holland?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Freddie Roper, for $5,000?
Correct.
For the value of your, is it your late sister-in-law?
Yes.
Your late sister-in-law's goods, and you are countersuing, ma'am, for rent and related fees and pain and suffering, $4,928?
Yes.
Okay. So, as I understand, Ms. Holland, your sister-in-law, your late sister-in-law,
Correct.
was a tenant in your building, ma'am?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
And she lived there for 40 years?
Over 40 years.
Over 40 years?
She was there before this lady bought the apartment.
But it was the last 10 years that you owned the building?
Yes.
And so Ms. Thomas passed away recently?
She died July the 21st.
My condolences. How old was she?
She was 88.
And so after she died, you were put in charge of the estate?
I had the power of attorney, plus she made a will.
Was she living by herself?
Yes.
Okay, so she went into the nursing home because she needed someone to be around her during that time?
Yes, because she kept falling.
Okay.
And she would call me 11:30 at night to come and help her because she would be on the floor. And she did not want to go to a nursing home. She said, if you take me to the nursing home, I'm going to die. So 5 days after she went into the nursing home, she died.
Wow. So Ms. Thomas was your tenant?
Yes.
And she was a good tenant?
Yes.
Always paid her rent?
Always.
No issues with her, right?
No.
So here we are. Ms. Thomas unfortunately passes away in July. Did you attend the funeral?
Yes, I did.
And so what was the agreement between the two of you about how Mrs. Thomas's property would be removed from her apartment? Because that's the real issue. You say they didn't move it out in a timely manner.
No, I went over to Miss Thomas' apartment, and Miss Holland was there sitting down. So I asked her, could you get the the belongings out in August the 5th?
No,
Because
she never
what, Miss-
gave me that.
Miss
She never
Thomas-
set a date.
So on August 16th, you changed the locks to
Yes.
what exactly?
The main door.
And Miss Thomas's
And Miss
apartment?
Thomas front and back, and the back door, main back
Okay,
door.
and during this time, though, do you know that she's coming in trying to move Miss Thomas's things
She
out?
wasn't trying to do.
Yes,
she
she
wasn't
was.
doing nothing.
Okay, tell me what's going
I was
on.
coming in.
No.
I have dates, putting down the dates that I would come in. And what I was doing was trying to clean that apartment out. I was doing it on my own. What she's mad about, she didn't get any of the clothes, because Miss Thomas was a very sharp-dressing lady, and she wore very expensive clothes and very expensive shoes and pocketbooks. She came over to check them out one day because she wore the same size shoe as Miss Thomas wore. So I think what she's mad about, she didn't get any of them, because she wear real nice things, real nice
Did she
things.
say anything?
Who? Yeah, she made a comment. She said, oh, she really wants some nice shoes. I said, yes, she did. She paid for them.
Yeah, I know she was a dresser. She was a dresser.
No, she didn't have any children.
She was a dresser.
And she bought very expensive things.
So you were moving things little by little on your own?
I was moving as much as I could because all I had was an SUV.
You weren't moving nothing.
You don't know what I had.
You didn't move nothing.
I moved everything she had in there. You just mad.
In there.
Okay, ladies.
You don't know. You don't know what I was
Miss Holland.
Yes.
Talk to me.
Okay.
I'm the decision maker here. You don't have to convince her of anything.
I was moving.
Did she have a conversation with you before she changed the locks?
No.
How did you find out the locks had been changed?
When I went over there to get the furniture.
You say you gave her until
August the 5th.
August the 5th. And that's not a lot of time. And I understand you want to release the place and get somebody else in there, but that's not a lot of time for someone to move things out when someone has lived in an apartment for over 40 years and accumulated. Where are the things now? So you're suing for the value of the items left in the apartment.
I'm suing for the things she took.
Where are those items now, ma'am?
Still in the building.
They're still in the apartment?
They're still in the apartment.
But they could have been gone.
Let me see the photos.
That's her bedroom set. Still there. I took the dishes down and I was going to pack them.
Well, so I don't understand. So this apartment has not been leased again. All of this stuff has been in there.
Yes.
Why not just let them come in and get the stuff out?
I had a lawyer to come and ask her, when can Miss Holland come in and get the rest of the stuff?
And what was your response to that?
She hung up on her.
I didn't talk to no lawyer.
Yes, you did. You hung up on her.
I didn't talk to no lawyer.
Miss Thomas was not cremated. She's not cremated yet because of the fact that they came in, they went into her account and took monies.
Who did?
We don't know. I have to take care of that when I go back to St. Louis.
Okay.
But she didn't do anything but complain.
How is it helping you to lock all of those items in the apartment for months on end when they're calling you trying to get in there to get the things out? No one's ever called you once to try to get those things?
Yes, I called her.
Okay, Ms. Roper, did you have a conversation with any of Ms. Thomas's relatives about her property after you changed the lock?
She called me after she had broke in.
Do I look like I can break through a door?
August the 16th.
I did not go in and break a door. And then we went in. Yeah, you had broke the door.
Why would I have to break the door when I got a key?
You didn't have a key. You ought to quit lying yourself.
You're
trying to make a
all right. Okay.
You just mad because you didn't get nothing.
Miss Holland.
I don't want nothing.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
You tried to bribe me to get stuff.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? What would I bribe you for?
Okay, here's where we are.
You're a joke.
Here's where we are.
You joke.
Coming up on Judge Faith, which one of these two ladies is telling the truth?
I do not go to Miss Thomas'
I don't care where you go. You need to go somewhere.
I do not go. And you need to go
somewhere.
And later, this kind of car financing gets bumpy.
Because I see these cases all the time. This is the worst type of deal you could ever do, is to try to sell a car like this to someone you barely know.
Plaintiff Carolyn Holland is suing for the value of the items she's not allowed to retrieve from a rental property. Defendant Freddie Roper says she has the right to lock her rental unit and deny access.
When someone dies and they live in an apartment and they're in the middle of a month-to-month lease, which is still a lease, the responsibility is now turned over to the executor of that estate, which is you, right?
Correct.
And you submitted proof to the court, and I've reviewed that proof. And what you have to do, ma'am, as a landlord, you treat the executor of the estate as if she is now the tenant in that unit. 3 weeks go by and you change the locks and lock their family out from getting her property. What I'm telling you, Ms. Roper, is that is an illegal lockout. Before you lock them out, you have to get a court order to do so. Did you get a court order?
No, she didn't.
Okay, so that was an illegal lockout, ma'am. This is the black and white letter of the law in your state.
She's been nasty through the whole thing. I've never known so many nasty people in all my life, and they go to the same church.
I don't not go to Miss Thomas' church.
Well, they said
I
you
do
were
not
there.
go to Miss Thomas'
I don't
church.
care where you go. You need to go somewhere.
I do not go, and you need to go
somewhere.
Boy, if Miss Thomas was alive,
we have it established.
Yeah.
We have it established. We all need to go to church. Now let's move on to the next subject, which is what are we going to do now about this property? Because you have a couple of choices here. Do you want to go and get the property out of the unit, or would you prefer the value of the property? And how are you going to prove value to me?
Some of the stuff is old anyway. I want to get the stove and the refrigerator that she wanted. And she had them all piled up.
I want you to get everything out of there.
Miss Roper, let me explain something to you. I'm going to decide what's going to happen here, okay? Because you've already broken the law in your state. So this is not about what you want right now. It's about what I decide.
She's been nasty through the whole thing. This is what I've been dealing with.
Miss Holland, don't talk to each other again.
Okay.
Just don't.
I don't need to talk to her.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. On your counterclaim for $4,928, you're suing for rent, door repair, the locks that were changed, and pain and suffering. Your counterclaim is dismissed because you performed an illegal lockout. You couldn't do that. You should have gone to court, and you didn't. Okay. What I'm going to do is order the defendant to pay you punitive damages for the illegal lockout in the amount of $2,000. Okay. So you can have that money and use it to go and move out your sister-in-law's things by November 1st. Okay. You understand?
Yes.
Ms. Roper, do you understand? Yes. She is to be allowed back in with her movers, and I want you to contact my staff by the deadline and let me know that that has happened, that it has taken place.
Okay.
Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $2,000 in punitive damages.
Thank you.
Plaintiff Louis Ornelas is suing his family friend for money owed on a car sale. Defendant Cindy Casimero says she and the plaintiff made a deal that freed her from any more payments on the car.
Louis Ornelas?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing the defendant Cindy Casimero for $8,503, the remaining balance due on a car loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and as I understand it, this is some type of convoluted car sale the two of you engaged in.
Correct.
You owned a car.
Yes.
And you didn't outright sell the car to her, but she took possession of it and she was making payments.
Correct.
And when the car was to be paid off, whenever that was, you would then transfer the title to her?
Yes.
Okay, so just take me back to the beginning and tell me how this all started. How did you know the defendant?
A family friend. And what happened is she bought the vehicle in October of 2012.
What kind of car is it?
It was a Scion TC.
What year?
2009.
Okay. What was the agreement?
That she would keep making payments under the loan that was under my name and my parents. Mm-hmm. And once the vehicle was completely paid off, the title would be transferred to her name.
And how well do you know her?
Barely knew her.
Okay, so you're tying yourself to someone to make and relying on them to make car payments for you in your name for 4 years.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Why did you need to do that? Because that, to me, that's a pretty desperate move that someone makes.
So I bought the vehicle in 2009, had just graduated high school, and I was going to go to college. So I decided to buy a brand new vehicle. Not the best decision. And then it got financially difficult going full-time to school and full-time work.
I admire your decision to go and pursue your education, but why not get someone to just buy your car outright instead of relying on someone to make payments for 4 years? Someone that you don't even know.
Yes, correct.
You know why I'm asking this? Because I see these cases all the time. This is the worst type of deal you could ever do, is to try to sell a car like this to someone you barely know, because what inevitably happens is exactly what happened in this case. They have a car accident. They rack up tickets, something else happens with the car, you are still the owner of the car. It's still in your name. So if something happens, they're coming after you. Okay, do you have this agreement in writing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, may I see it, please? So for 1 year, you were making payments directly to a bank?
Well, it was prior to that there was 4 payments that were behind of $400 each.
The car was in an accident. Who was driving the car?
Me.
Okay, so the car is in a collision center. You try to get the car out.
They would not.
And you're saying they wouldn't let you get the car out because you are not the
Correct.
registered owner of the car?
What his parents did is they said, we need money to get the car out. So we're like, okay, how much money do you need? And they, at first...
No, step up, ma'am. Hi.
Hi.
Are you the defendant's mother?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out why you stopped making payments and why it's his responsibility
Because
now.
the financial company said that we could no longer do that.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, yes, we were trying to keep doing the payments, but when she was trying to call the dealer, they didn't let her
They
do the
wouldn't release
payments.
any information to us pretty much because we weren't a registered owner, or our name was not in any
you tell me
agreement.
what happened.
So I've never even heard any of this.
I haven't either because it's not in your answer. Go ahead.
What actually happened is I heard about the accident that was involved with the vehicle a week after from my parents. And what they told me is that the accident happened, that someone hit her and they left and she wasn't able to get any information on who hit her or what happened. And I actually have the police report from the sheriff stating that there's no evidence of another person being involved. 3 months later, I get a phone call from the car dealer saying the car is about to get repoed because there's been no payments made. And she had not told me anything about this. She said she was taking care of everything.
The way that I'm seeing it is if, regardless of if we would have taken over the payments or not, the car would have been repoed 2 years ago. His credit would have been
What's your
ruined.
point?
Well, I think that's why we're here, because he's upset about his credit.
You're here because there was an agreement that you would make monthly payments on a car, and you stopped making the payments. So the question is, why? The question is, are you justified in your stopping of making the payments on the car? And so the answer to that is, so far, no. Just because you have an accident in the car and you can't drive it anymore, you're still obligated under this agreement. Do you understand?
Yes. When we tried to do...
Coming up, the blue book of the law gets thrown by the judge.
You act like you're giving them $1,000 as a favor. You wrecked the car and in the collision center because of you.
Plaintiff Louis Ornelas made a deal to do a speedy car sale, but the defendant isn't keeping up her end of the deal. He is suing for the balance due on a car sale. Defendant Cindy Casamero says she fulfilled her obligation to the plaintiff and owes nothing. She is joined in court today by her mother, Lorena.
The officer essentially did not credit your story. What photos did you submit to court? Let me see the photos.
The front, you can see how the wheel is inverted. It's not turned. The wheel is not turned at all. It's the actual wheel is going into the vehicle.
According to you, the dealer never told the defendant that she would not be allowed to make additional payments on the car.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So that's when his mom got in contact with my parents. And by this point, I said, hey, if we give them the money to get the car out, we don't want to hear anything about it. And his mom agreed to it. His mom and my mom actually got together.
What do you mean you don't want to hear anything about it? You have a contract.
His mom agreed to it. His mom agreed to it.
There's no agreement. There's nothing signed.
If we paid money to get the car out of the collision center, that she would deal with the car afterwards.
Okay, do you have that in writing?
No, but we have the writing. We have the proof of the money that we took out in order to give them.
To give them $1,000?
Yes.
There's no receipt.
You should have paid the entire $2,500. You act like you're giving them $1,000 as a favor. You wrecked the car, and it's in the collision center because of you. You should pay every penny to get the car out. What do you have to say, ma'am?
His mom and his dad was telling me that they need all that money for get the car out. But if you're gonna take this money, I don't want to hear anything else from this car now.
How much did you give?
It was $2,000.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
How much did you contribute to get the car out of the collision center?
$1,500 because they gave us $1,000.
So the question is whether or not this other $1,000 was paid by you.
Yes, it was.
And you have no real proof of that?
No, I don't.
This is what someone stops making payments.
Correct.
You cannot tie yourself to someone you don't know for 4 years. This contract is terminated, but I am ordering the defendants to pay you $3,600 in damages. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
A tenant disagrees with his landlord about the condition of a New Orleans shotgun home.
So when I went inside, that's when I saw all these open containers of food and beer bottles, and just, it was a mess.
I was just kind of in a rough place, bachelor. There's all kinds of chicken boxes and beer bottles and whiskey bottles laying around. It's just, I mean, you caught me at a bad time. It's not illegal to do these things in my home.
I don't think she's saying you're a terrible person. You're just messy.
And later, a fight between foster dogs ends in a battle between former friends.
I actually had pulled both the dogs into the pool, and then immediately one of the dogs jumped out of the pool, Mojo, and was on the edge of the pool barking at me and mostly at Titus, the other dog, trying to basically bite him again.
And I didn't want to go down there because I had been bitten prior 3 weeks before that. He bit me in my chest right here with 2 puncture wounds, which I had 5 stitches.
You weren't wary about intervening in this situation because you'd already been bitten by the dog before?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Virginia A. Bear says the defendant trashed her historic shotgun home and broke her no pets policy. She's suing for damages to a rental home. Defendant Drew Hawkins says he doesn't know because he left the house in decent condition, and Virginia is just trying to get a remodel on his dime.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Abear versus Hawkins.
Thank you, Juan. Virginia Abear?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing the defendant, Drew Hawkins?
Yes, ma'am.
For $1,083, damages you say he caused to a home he rented from you?
Yes, ma'am.
In the New Orleans area?
Yes.
The two of you entered into a 1-year lease on March 14, 2014?
Right.
So why don't we start from the beginning and you tell me what happened?
Okay, so Drew moved in, like you said, March 14th, 2014, and everything was going well. Whenever there was an issue, like I know the AC had gone out, we got that
How much
resolved.
did he pay for rent and how much did he pay for security deposit?
$875 for rent, $875 security deposit.
And Mr. Hawkins, where were you living prior to moving in this home, sir?
I had just finished my undergrad in Baton Rouge, LSU, so right off campus in Baton Rouge. I started work that January, and actually right when I graduated, I moved to my parents' house. I wanted to get into New Orleans as quickly as possible, and I found a really good work in a law firm out there. And,
you went to law school?
I have not gone to law school. I've done everything. I've gotten letters of rec and LSAT and everything. It's a future possibility thing. But I wanted to get into that neighborhood, and I walked with the realtor down to the house, saw it, and was like, yeah, this is definitely, let's do this.
Okay, did you submit any photos of the home?
Yes, ma'am. In fact,
May
I have
see
one
them,
right
please?
here. Yes. So there's a picture of the front of the house. Drew lived on the right-hand side of the house.
Okay, you had another tenant on the left-hand side?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's in a historical part of New Orleans. It's in Algiers Point, which is across the river from New Orleans. I acquired the house in 2010, and it was completely it was in bad shape. I ended up ripping the back of the house off, totally redid the inside of it. On both sides, it's a shotgun.
And a shotgun house means when you open the front door, you can see all the way back through the back door.
Correct.
Go straight through, and the rooms are on each side.
Right.
So he moves in March 14th. He's paying the rent on time.
Right.
So what happened in November of 2014?
So then one of the breakers went out. The heater wasn't working correctly, so I had, Drew emailed me. I emailed back the same day. All right, I've got my guy that'll come over and take a look at it. And he did. And I said, but are you going to be home to let my guy in? And he said, no. And I said, do I have your permission to go inside and, let him in? And he said, sure. So when I went inside, that's when I saw all these open containers of food and beer bottles and it was a mess.
Coming up, the pest problem goes from bad to worse.
We're talking about an ongoing, forever issue with roaches.
I immediately got attacked by fleas.
Essentially, me and my neighbor take turns chasing the roaches back and forth.
And later, a dog bite brings former roommates to court.
He was trying to separate his 2 dogs.
They were locked like this.
But I jumped in to hold them. I was holding them away.
Okay, you didn't say that in your statement to the court.
Plaintiff Virginia A. Bear says Drew infested her historic home with roaches and fleas. She's suing for damages to a rental home. Defendant Drew Hawkins says he doesn't know because he kept the house clean enough.
When I actually moved into this place, I moved in with my ex-girlfriend and my daughter, and about a few months before that, she had left, and so I was just kind of in a rough place, bachelor, and a lot of friends over, and she wanted to come over and fix a breaker, and I didn't realize she was going to walk through the house, so there's all kinds of chicken boxes and beer bottles and whiskey bottles laying around. It's just, I mean, you caught me at a bad time. It's not illegal to do these things in my home. It's just that, you know,
I wasn't... She was concerned because she saw some pests in
there had
home.
been...
Let me see the video you submitted.
Sure.
Tell me what I'm looking at.
Okay, so this is the kitchen. There's a table that he put in the kitchen. We're going around towards the back door where there's the trash, and then you're looking at the countertop and the sink.
So it was messy, and so this was the first cause of concern for you because why?
Drew had said previously that there was a roach issue in the place. So then when I saw how the place looked, I thought, okay, well, of course there's a roach issue. I mean, I'm welcoming them in. So I took the video. I have a file on my computer for my 1-year-old son, and I put on there, this is how you will not live in 20 years.
If I may, that's not how I live. That was post-party. We're talking about an ongoing, forever issue with roaches. Essentially, me and my neighbor take turns chasing the roaches back and forth. You know,
if you have food
obviously,
out like that on a regular, there's roaches.
Your Honor, I don't think it's necessarily fair to judge me on one video from one post-aftermath of a party. I mean, it's easy to do that for anybody at 23 years old, 24 years old, without living on his own and just take posts after a party and just say he's a terrible person. You know,
no, I don't think she's saying you're a terrible person. You're just messy.
Oh, okay. Occasionally, yeah. That's accurate.
So what ends up happening? You go back to the home in May and you found out that there were 2 dogs there?
Okay, right. So in May, he says, well, my girlfriend has 2 dogs. Are you comfortable with this? And I said, look, the lease says no pets. So I said, I think it'd be best if you found somewhere that is pet friendly so that you can take dogs.
I don't know where this affidavit of 2 dogs on my porch comes from. I never had 2 dogs.
But did you ever have the dogs there at the house?
No, the 2 dogs that my girlfriend came with were never there.
Okay. You say otherwise, though.
Okay, right. So I have an email that I had texted and said, there's a no pet policy because my neighbor had said, hey, there's some dogs, you know, hanging out at your place.
So you tell him that, and what's his response?
Yes, sorry, I didn't respond to your text, but I did receive it. I will handle it ASAP.
May I see that, please?
Yes.
Do you remember writing that, sir?
I do, and can I...
So what are you handling ASAP? You just told me there were no dogs there at all at the property.
These weren't the 2. These weren't the 2 dogs that my girlfriend
You're
was
like Olivia
about.
Pope. It's handled.
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. I mean, I know it's fun. It's not exactly what she's talking about. I remember specifically responding to that email, and at that particular moment, I had a brother who went out of town, and I watched his dog for a few days.
Sir, were there dogs at the house or not?
No. Occasionally, I would babysit
so that's
a
yes.
dog.
So that's
no,
yes.
It's not.
The answer is yes.
No, it's not a yes with the 2. Ma'am, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Were there dogs there at any time? Yes.
Okay.
If that's what you want to, know.
Yes. You plan on going to law school, Mr. Hawkins? You plan on going to law school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So then you'll understand then this is not a difficult question and it's not a difficult answer. There was an issue with dogs being in the home, sir. I don't really care if it was March or May. You weren't supposed to have them there.
Okay.
So he has dogs on the property. We have that established. What happens when it's time for him to move out? Why did you keep his security deposit, and why are you suing for more damages?
Because of the way the place was left.
How was it left?
When I when I walked in, I immediately got attacked by fleas on me. So I'm going through the place, taking pictures. I have a picture of what the floor looked like.
May I see the photos?
Yes. The top picture is what the floor looked like.
And did you take any video footage?
Yes.
Let me see the video you submitted, ma'am.
The toilet bowl has been cleaned and scrubbed along with the seat. And the tub is peeling.
Okay, is this video after the home was cleaned?
Yes.
Why does the toilet look like this? Show him that photo. What is that?
May I comment on that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Both the toilet. I know exactly what it looks like. I lived there for a year.
I was going to show you.
Yeah. The toilet bowl and the sink and the bathtub. All of them looked exactly like that when I first moved in.
And it wasn't. You said it was chipping while you were living there.
It was
chipping. Did you ever tell her about that? Did you have a conversation about it?
I didn't know. I didn't make the connection that it was that big of a deal.
Why do you think that he owes for your installation of a brand new toilet and sink in the bathroom?
There is no way I would sit on that toilet even after it was cleaned.
Do you have a photo of what it looked like before he moved in?
No, I don't.
If you're going to charge a resident to buy a new sink and a new toilet, I would want to see a photo of what it looked like of the bathroom before he moved in.
They were white.
So here's what we're going to do. Based on the proof that you submitted to the court and the receipts of things you've had to pay for, I'm going to order the defendant to pay you for those things, not for the new sink, not for the new toilet, because you don't have proof of what those things looked like prior to him moving in, and I'm not satisfied that he's responsible for paint chipping from the bathtub. Judgment for the plaintiff, $750. Good luck.
I feel totally satisfied with that. I came in here knowing that she was going to get a fair amount of my security deposit. I just didn't want to buy her a new bathroom.
When he moved in, he had a fiance, and they have a little baby girl together. Didn't work out between them, so it unfortunately didn't work out for my property either.
Plaintiff Dolores Delgado says a defendant's foster dog attacked her. She's suing for hospital bills and pain and suffering. Defendant Rodney Davis says he doesn't know because Dolores wasn't injured during the dog fight, and it was her decision to jump into the pool to save the dogs.
Dolores Delgado?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant Rodney Davis?
Yes.
For $10,000, you say he owes you for hospital bills and pain and suffering as a result of a dog bite that happened back in 2013.
Yes.
So I understand that you lived with the defendant for a while in a roommate situation.
Right.
Okay, tell me what happened.
The morning that it happened, he was, I had heard the fighting from upstairs, the two dogs. His two dogs were fighting. And
What kind of dogs do you have, sir?
They were both American Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm. How long did you have them?
They were actually foster care dogs, which we had had for about 2 months.
Okay, let me see a photo of the dog. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so what happened on the date in question?
The date in question is...
You heard them fighting downstairs?
Yeah, I heard the fighting, and I didn't want to go down there because I had been bitten prior, 3 weeks before that, from the same dog.
Mm.
So when I went downstairs, he was in the middle of the fight. They were fighting. He was trying to separate his two dogs. They were in the back of the patio fighting, and he was trying to get him into the pool.
Why were you trying to get him into the pool?
Well, I was trying to break them up, Your Honor. They were locked like this, and the only way I could get them apart was to pull them across the whole patio into the pool.
Well, when I came downstairs, they were outside with a scuffle, so when he'd asked for help to get him into the pool, I didn't want to get anything because I'd been bitten by the dogs.
He asked you for help to get the dogs in the pool, is that true?
No, Your Honor. I actually had pulled both the dogs into the pool, and then immediately one of the dogs jumped out of the pool, Mojo, and was on the edge of the pool barking at me and mostly at Titus, the other dog, trying to basically bite him again.
Okay, go ahead.
When I came downstairs, the dogs were not in the pool yet. So that's where I came up with the lawn chair to push the one from the back end. So they fell into the pool. The one got out onto the stepway. He was holding on to Titus, the white one that you've seen in the picture of. Mm-hmm. So that's when he had asked me if I could help him hold it, or hold the dog to get into the pool, which I didn't know if he was going to bite me again, but I jumped in to hold him, and I was holding him away, and that's when the dog turned.
Okay, you didn't say that in your statement to the court.
Coming up on Judge Faith, missing medical bills call the costs of the dog bite into question.
Let me see your medical
I don't
bills.
have any medicals. They haven't sent them to me.
I'm sorry?
No, I haven't paid anything in medical bills.
Do they not exist?
No, they exist.
I'm sorry. Are we talking about the same case?
Plaintiff Dolores Delgado says Rodney's foster dog attacked her. She's suing for hospital bills and pain and suffering. Defendant Rodney Davis says he doesn't know because Dolores wasn't injured during the dog fight.
You said that you went downstairs, you saw that he was having a hard time, and you helped him push the dogs in the water, and you fell in.
No, I didn't fall in. He wanted to get out of the pool to get the other one
I'm just
out of
saying
the
in your
leash,
statement, you never said in your statement to the court that he asked for your help. At what point did you jump in the pool?
Right after to get the help to separate them.
You weren't wary about intervening in this situation because you'd already been bitten by the dog before?
I was scared.
So were you injured? What happened?
He bit me in my chest right here with 2 puncture wounds, which I had 5 stitches.
Did you see the dog bite her?
No, I didn't. I actually jumped out of the water, took the other dog and contained that dog and put him in a yard. I don't know whether the dog scratched her or bit her or whatever, but...
When did you learn that she had a complaint about a
Well,
a dog?
I heard her say, oh, something bit me or whatever, and she jumped out of the pool. And I just saw her running to the house. I really didn't see any incident.
You went to the hospital that day?
He took me to the hospital.
You took her to the hospital that day?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I may have dropped her off, so she couldn't have been that serious if I took her.
Was there an ambulance call?
Yeah, the ambulance came and he volunteered to take me in.
So you didn't go in the ambulance?
No, I didn't.
Let me see your medical bills.
I don't have any medical. They haven't sent them to me, so...
I'm sorry? It's been 2 years. What do you mean they haven't sent them to you? It's been 2 years.
It probably went to his house. My lawyer has a lot of
This is your day in court. You're suing for $10,000. This was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do they not exist?
No, they exist. I went in.
You don't have a single
bill?
No, you're suing for medical bills.
All I have is when I went in. That's all I have here of the punctures. So as far as the bills go, no.
May I see that, please?
Yeah, here.
I want give me the folder. Show me what you have. Give me the entire folder of evidence. How much do you say you were out of pocket?
Right now, no, I haven't paid anything in medical bills. I haven't paid anything.
I'm sorry.
Because
are we talking about the same case?
I just have a lawyer right now, so.
This is, you don't, this is small claims court. You understand there are no lawyers allowed in small claims court. When you come to small claims court, you agree to represent yourself. And you really had one job here today, and that is just to bring your evidence.
I can get the papers
because you live in California, and California has very strict rules about dog bites. Strict liability state, which means if your dog bites someone, you are responsible. But I can't, so there's the issue of liability. I think the dog bit you. Mm-hmm. But then there's the issue of damages, and you have no proof of your damages, but you're suing for $10,000, and it's been 2 years. And it just seems odd that you would bring this up 2 years. When was the first time you approached him about this lawsuit?
I haven't been able to reach him. We've been trying to contact him for a year, and he hasn't contacted us back.
You knew where he lived?
No, I didn't. He moved.
Well, right after this incident, you knew where he lived?
No. Well, right there, and then and there, I was already getting a lawyer at this time, which took time to go through it.
You're the owner of the home, right, sir?
No, I'm not. I was a tenant as well.
You were subleasing?
Yes.
To everyone else in the home, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you were basically running a house that you didn't own and watching dogs that weren't yours either?
They were foster care dogs. That's correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Delgado, I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to guess? You want me to speculate? Do you want me to just pull a number out of the hat? I need you to bring to court your evidence. Okay. I just don't understand how you show up 2 years later and you don't have any evidence.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
You're suing for medical bills and $8,900 in pain and suffering. You have no proof that you told me you got 5 stitches. That does not amount to over $8,000 in pain and suffering. The fact that you actually did suffer a dog bite, and I don't think the defendant contests that, I'm going to order him to pay you $1,000 in pain and suffering, but I can't order him to pay you any more than that because you simply have insufficient proof. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000.
Rodney, take care of your dogs and take care of the people around you, and I pray for you.
I don't think I owed her any money, and the judgment is what it is, but I will continue to do what I need to do for animals.
A couple that can't call it quits come to court about a car pushed off a cliff.
I had squeaky brakes. I'm laying in bed, I hear, I go outside and I see a tail end of my car drive away.
She called me about 10 o'clock saying, do I know where her car's at?
I have couples trackers. It tells you all the phone calls, all the text messages, and the GPS location.
Did you track him the day your car went over the cliff?
I tracked him 24/7 as long as my eyes were open.
So you're not only the baby's mother, you're CSI.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor. and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Desiree Lutzweiler says her ex-boyfriend and father of her unborn baby drove her car off a cliff in order to win her back. She's suing for the value of a car, new tires, gas, and towing fees. Defendant Raymond Vandenberg says he owes nothing because his ex is just trying to get money from him, and she has no proof he took her car. He's countersuing for the return of money from an account.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Lutzweiler versus Vandenberg.
Thank you, Juan. Desiree Lutzweiler?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant Raymond Vandenberg?
Yes.
For $2,315 for the value of a car you say he damaged, in addition to new tires, gas, and towing fees?
Correct.
And you are countersuing, sir, for $800 for money you say the plaintiff took out of an account that you own?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll start with you, Ms. Lutzweiler. Tell me what's going on here.
I met the defendant in 2013, and I showed up at his house, actually, with his son, and I never left. I really liked it over there, and I liked Raymond a lot. I don't know if Raymond ever liked me. I stuck around to find out, and I moved from the couch to his room. You know, about a week later, he got kind of curious why I was in his room. I think eventually he found out. And so we were together about a year and a half. We had a 1-year-old son together.
You have a 1-year-old now?
We do. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually 4.5 months pregnant now.
With his child?
Correct.
Okay.
There had always been some other women around. Like, for instance, one time his ex, who had got out of jail, I guess, came by, and she was going, "Raymond, tell me who she is. What is she doing here?" And Raymond just went on about his day as if he didn't see her. I mean, ate his oatmeal, fed the dogs, mowed the lawn. I mean, he did all that. And, you know, she would come over maybe for about 3 weeks. She came over for a couple hours at a time, say, "Raymond, who is she? What is she doing here?" And he didn't want to tell her. I didn't want to tell her.
Let me ask you a question here. She was a friend of your son's at the time, sir? You met her? She was, okay. And she came over, the two of you met and started dating and started living together?
Pretty much, she came over and never left my house.
So that part is accurate?
Pretty accurate.
Okay, and how would you describe your relationship with her now?
It's all right. We have our separate places, though. We don't live together anymore. Mm-hmm. But we have a son, and we have another one on the way, so hopefully we can get things worked out.
His relatives didn't want us together. They didn't understand the age difference. They were saying, for instance, that when he gets old, he might look different.
What is the age difference?
I'm 25 and he's 51, so
okay.
About 26 years, you know. It's a little out of the ordinary.
And so when you started dating, you were 23?
Correct. Mm-hmm. But obviously, you know, our maturity level, you know, I've never pushed a car off a cliff before. You know, in fact, I go to college, I do different things. So I guess we even out, you know, we hit about the same. If I'm about 10 years more mature than I should be and he's a few delinquent, then, you know, we add up.
I object to that.
So the two of you started living together, and how long did you live together?
For 1.5 years.
So the relationship wasn't working out. Why are you 4.5 months pregnant now?
Well, you know how that happens.
I know how it happened, but why?
I mean, there's some things that are still great.
Are you working, ma'am?
No, I'm a full-time student.
How do you support yourself?
Financial aid. And
who do you live with?
Myself. I have my own apartment. I moved out of Raymond's in January. I lived with my mom until March, and then I was able to get on my own feet by May, and I have my own place now.
Okay, and you have sole custody of your 1-year-old?
I don't. We just went to mediation.
The child lives with you?
The child's with me.
Lives with him. We came up with an agreement. I'm a full-time student. I'm going to get a PhD in psychology, so I got a lot of work ahead of me. The child was with him initially when we first broke up. So
now, sir, your 1-year-old lives with you full time?
With me, yes.
But
and how long has that been the case?
About 4 months.
But I have weekends and Wednesdays, so it's actually 3.5 days and 3.5 days. So it's even.
All right. And how do you support yourself?
I'm on Social Security disability.
How long have you been on disability?
2 years.
What's the nature of your disability?
I have a leg injury.
What did you do before you were on disability?
I worked for Budweiser, and I worked for the union.
Okay, doing what?
Carpenters
What kind of
union,
work?
Scaffold. Put up
And you were
scaffold.
doing that full time?
Doing it full time.
For how many years?
15 years.
And was this an on-the-job injury?
No, it has something to do with a blood clot in my leg, and
Do you have other children?
I do. I have a
How old are they?
27-year-old daughter. I got a 25-year-old son, the one that I met her through, and I have an 18-year-old son, and now I have a 14-month-old son, and one on the way.
I'm the only one he has 2 kids with, though.
All right, Ms. Lutzweiler. Why don't you tell me about your lawsuit?
While I was living at my mom's, I was kind of starting to see somebody else, you know. One day I woke up actually the guy that I was kind of seeing, my car was a little damaged from Raymond Pryor. He had like stabbed the tires, so when you patch it, there's like a little thing that sticks out like
You
a
stabbed the
shoelace.
tires of her car?
Absolutely not.
He did several times, like 16 tires, probably since January up until March.
I slashed somebody else's tires in her driveway.
Oh, okay.
The wrong car.
You meant to slash her tires.
I admit.
Why is that, sir?
So she couldn't go anywhere.
He wanted me stuck at the house with the guy, I guess.
Why is that, sir? You didn't want her to go anywhere because what?
Because she wouldn't let me see my kid, and I kept going to her house, and she would be gone. So when I seen her car there, but it was the wrong car. So I was trying to stop her from going anywhere. I wanted to see my son. She had my son for the first 8 months. Well, no, when we broke up, she had him for like 2 months, and I was unable to see him.
So you know what most people do when they say that they go to court?
That's what
they
I
don't
ended up doing.
slash tires.
I know.
You do know that, right?
I know that.
Okay.
Coming up, did the couple's complicated relationship crash into crazy town?
Now we've graduated from slashing tires to pushing cars over a cliff.
Slashing a tire. One tire.
And you're the only person I know of right now that's damaged her car in the past. So I'm looking at you right now, Mr. Vandenberg.
Plaintiff Desiree Lutzweiler says her ex drove her car off a cliff. She's suing for the value of a car, new tires, gas, and towing fees. Defendant Raymond Vandenberg says he owes nothing because Desiree has no proof he took her car. He's countersuing for the return of money from an account.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I woke up one day, I had squeaky brakes. Like this, he always promised to fix it, never fixed it. So I'm laying in bed, I hear, you know, I go outside and I see a tail end of my car drive away. So I get on the phone with 911 and I reported it at 8 a.m. At noon, the police gave me a call, said my car had been recovered.
From where?
A 270-foot canal on Sunrise and Kiefer Boulevard in Sacramento.
It had been pushed over a cliff?
Correct. The county gates had been cut, the locks, so they'd been on like government property. It's like not even a place for the public at all. And the car was pushed through.
Did you do that, Mr. Vandenberg?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Because now we've graduated from slashing tires to pushing cars over a cliff.
Slashing a tire. One tire.
And you're the only person I know of right now that's damaged her car in the past. So I'm looking at you right now, Mr. Vandenberg. Do you have any knowledge whatsoever of what happened, the circumstances around this car being pushed over a cliff, sir?
No. It's all
Let me see the
speculation.
photos, ma'am.
Photos are pretty bad. If you see there's string or I'm sure some type of rope just to hold the car together. They had to reattach the grill.
Well, the car is totaled, obviously. What do you think happened, ma'am?
Well, judging by the fact that he came by 10 a.m., 2 hours after my car had been stolen and asked me if maybe I needed a ride and did he want to go have some lunch.
Did you ask her if she needed a ride to lunch?
That's not true, Your Honor. She called me about 10 o'clock saying, do I know where her car's at? And I said, I absolutely have no idea where your car's at. I was at the casino. It's all speculation. It's because that she's taken money from my account, $800.
We're talking about the car.
Okay.
You're trying to move to the next subject. I'm still on this one.
All right.
Where were you at the time at 8 a.m. on that day? What day was this?
I was at the casino.
You were at the casino?
Yes.
Okay. Was anyone with you?
No, I was by myself.
Why do you think he would take your car and push it over a cliff?
Well, I know he took my car because...
What would be the motivation for him doing that?
Well, because maybe he was mad I was seeing somebody else. I mean, why did he slash my tires?
Were you dating someone else at the time?
Yes, I was.
Was he aware of that?
Yes, he was.
Were you aware that she was seeing someone else, sir?
I have couples trackers. It's an application you install on a smartphone. It tells you all the phone calls, all the text messages, and the GPS location.
You had that on his phone?
I got it on my phone.
She had my
phone. So you're
phone.
tracking him?
That's right.
So you're not only the baby's mother, you're CSI.
That's right.
CSI, yeah.
I'll tell you, hey, babe, where are you at? He said, I'm at the truck shop getting a part. I said, okay, let that ride, because on the computer, I see clearly he's at his ex-wife's house. But okay, I let it ride for about 6 months.
What kind of tracking device is
I
this?
knew
I'm just
everything
curious.
he was doing. Everything he was doing. I just wanted to see how many times he would lie. That's 1,462nd lie, 1,463rd lie. I just want to see how many times he would really lie to me.
Well, did you track him the day your car went over the cliff?
Oh, all the time. I tracked him 24/7 as long as my eyes were open.
Do you have evidence that he was at your house that day?
I have plenty of evidence right here.
Coming up on Judge Faith, a smartphone app reveals the rest of the story.
8:35 a.m., you're at that address in Sacramento, California.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Plaintiff Desiree Lutzweiler says she knows Raymond stole her car because she used GPS to track him. She's suing for the value of a car, new tires, gas, and towing fees. Defendant Raymond Vandenberg says he owes nothing because Desiree is just making a play for his money. He's countersuing for the return of money from an account.
That's my mother's address. That's him tracked through his Gmail at 8:35 a.m.
So the 4 places listed, that's the location?
Yeah.
His location?
He picked up the car, he took it to the cliff, he went and got a burger, and he went home.
And this is the date of
March
the
17th?
Incident.
It's all speculation.
8:35 a.m., you're at that address in Sacramento, California.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's what it says.
I was not there.
That's what it says.
I don't know what phone you're looking at.
I'm looking at her phone.
I don't know what phone you're looking at. It's not my
This
phone.
is online.
That shows the whole map, and I'm sure that those coordinates right there must be the cliff. Only a cliff has coordinates. There's no address.
Their coordinates here just shows because Google Maps isn't picking up the exact address, but it is giving the geographical coordinates. And then at 5:57 in the afternoon, the car's over the cliff.
There's some coordinates. It's a dirt field in a canal.
She's a couple of steps ahead of you, is what I'm saying, okay? You come in and it's deny, because there's no proof. But, this isn't criminal court where it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just by preponderance of the evidence. And based on what she's submitting to me, it exists, and you did this. And the fact that there's a pattern of you slashing tires, messing up cars. There's a pattern. You will slash tires when you get upset, when you're not getting your way, by your own admission. And then now all of a sudden her car mysteriously goes over a cliff. You can't tell me who else would do it.
I had some evidence right here, hard, cold evidence. I mean, there's no denying this. I was just going to see what he was going to say first. Maybe he'd confess. He owes me that and a car and a ride. And
what is this, an email?
This is an email.
Here's the email from your email address. Stop calling the police on me. I'm sorry about crashing your car. I took it out of your driveway so you would come and see me. But then I saw you with that and you got what you deserve. I will no longer ask to see you or my son have fun with what's his name.
She created that email.
For what reason? She didn't press charges against you. Because I know you were upset with her before, and you say it was because she wouldn't let you see her son, and you slashed tires, and now I have a car off of a cliff, and you're upset about another guy. What's this about this $800 you want to tell me about, sir?
On March 3rd, I went to the casino, and I went to pull out some money, and I had no money on my SSI card. Mm-hmm. And I checked, and there was $800 withdrawn. And so I called Miss Lutzweiler, and I said, where's my money? She said, I transferred it onto another card to save you from spending it all in the casino.
So the $800, was that a joint account, ma'am?
No, it was not.
That was his personal account?
Yes, he had asked me to make an online banking for him, which I had access to. He put me as a representative payee.
So you had access to that account?
Correct. He gave permission.
What happened with the $800?
I transferred it to a debit card so that he wouldn't have $1,300 on the 3rd, go to the casino, waste it all, and come home and have me have to support him all month. So I gave him the debit card so he could spend the money as long as he wasn't in that out-of-town casino.
You took the $800 out of that account, put it on a debit card, and gave him the debit card?
Correct, and I am the representative payee, so.
In other words, he had access to that $800?
Correct.
Her position is she didn't take the money, she moved it. You didn't report the money as stolen. When you report it as stolen, holler at me. He is a petty, petulant, vindictive 51-year-old child.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Let me just talk to you for a second, and I want you to hear me out, okay? In this situation, you come into court and you tell me 16 of your tires have been slashed, 4 different sets of tires, ma'am, and yet you stand before me 4 months pregnant by the man you say did it?
Right, well, I left him in March, so April, May, June, July, August. I'm 19 weeks today, so I'm almost 5 months, so it was right prior to me leaving him. And after I left him, that's when he started slashing tires. It all started March 17th and rolled on from there.
You just need to think about some of the decisions you're making, ma'am. That's all I'm saying, because now, you know, you're in it now, okay? There's no going back. You have 2 kids.
Right.
With the defendant who I absolutely believe, based on the evidence, pushed your car over a cliff. Just think about this for a second, okay? 25 years old, you're the mother of his child. This is your only mode of transportation. You're in school, and he takes that and destroys it to make your life even more difficult than what it is. There will always be some level of a relationship because he's the father of your children, but otherwise, run. Don't walk, run. And try to make a better life for yourself. So here's what we're going to do. You submitted proof that 2 days before your car was pushed off the cliff, you put 4 brand new tires. Was it because they were slashed?
Correct, 12 hours before.
And so I am going to order him to pay for those tires. The cost $227. In addition, your car was totaled. I'm going to order him to pay for the value of your car. In good condition, the Blue Book value, Juan submitted this to me before court, is $1,081. In addition, I'm going to order him to pay the tow fees. You submitted proof that you paid $240 in tow fees in addition to your court costs. That is a total of $1,548 plus your court cost. You can't allow someone to continue to vandalize your cars and your property. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. You're sharing custody of your 1-year-old son. You cannot afford it. You're living off the government as it is. The only way, if this continues to happen, the only way it stops is if you press charges. That's the only way. Because this is a pattern of abuse. $1,548 judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Her advice was good, you know. I've been trying to start those steps myself, getting my own place, actually not keeping a car because I know what's going to happen to it, and potentially keeping a restraining order on file just in case things were to get ugly again.
A real estate agent is demanding his broker pay him for the houses he sold.
He's rude, he's haughty, he's disrespectful. I can't believe any idiot would not sign their agreement to get paid.
Well, in 2011, obviously, I sold the 2 properties. After he got the fund from the bank, I asked him for the money.
So that's a very self-serving agreement you have in place for your independent contractor, sir.
And later, a landlord and her former tenant reveal the dirty details of their rent dispute.
How she would harass me. One incident were Post-it notes all over my car and all over the front door saying, when are you going to pay me, the rent's due.
I have never, ever done that. You know, we are in court and you raised your hand and we said that we're going to say the truth.
That's just a strange thing that someone would make up. Do you have Post-it notes at home right now?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Jonas Tesfaye says the defendant is refusing to pay him commission after selling 2 homes. He's suing for real estate commissions. Defendant Peter Eastman says he owes nothing because Jonas refused to sign an employment agreement stating what employees get paid. He's countersuing for past fees.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Tesfaye versus Eastman.
Thank you, Juan. Jonas Tesfaye?
Yes, correct.
You were suing the defendant, Peter Eastman,
Correct.
for $3,655 for the cost of real estate commissions.
Correct.
You say he owes you?
Yes.
And you were countersuing, sir, for $200 for past fees?
Correct.
Mr. Tesfaye, I'd like to start with you. Why don't we start from the beginning and you tell me what happened?
Sure, Your Honor. Thank you. Well, actually, I was introduced by a friend that worked for Mr. Eastman, and I joined in 2007 through 2008, and then also in 2009 through 2010 for about 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I finally joined the last time in 2011.
So let me understand this. You have a full-time job.
Correct.
Right, during this time period, and it's that sometimes you also sell real estate on the side.
Correct.
So that's why you would only go and work for his company for a few months at a time?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
sir, let me ask you, how long have you had this company?
23 years.
23 years. And so you have a number of independent contractors who come in and work for you and sell real estate?
I probably had over 100.
So what happens in 2011?
Well, in 2011, obviously, I sold the 2 properties,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked him for, obviously, after he got the fund from the bank, I asked him for the money.
What was the agreement in terms of commission?
Well, we had contracts that he lined out, which...
Did the two of you sign a contract?
Well, yes, we did. I had one signed up in 2007.
Was there a valid contract in place that both of you signed in 2011 in terms of what you were receiving for commission?
Well, because nothing changed, when I went back to him in 2011, he said there was no need for me to sign an independent contract because it was already on file.
Is that true?
No, Your Honor.
Tell me what you say happened.
Well, on December 30th, he called me up on the phone and he says, I want to hang my license with you
Of what
again.
year?
2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I say fine, and we did it through telephone and by the internet, because you can do that now. And when we finished, I said, well, come on in and sign your independent contractor agreement. And he said, okay, I'll come on in. He never came in.
But you knew he was working, correct?
Well, I did not know how hard he was working.
Well, I don't think he was working hard enough to sell 2 houses.
Okay,
he sold 2 houses, right?
Here's the thing. When somebody wants to get paid, they sign their contract. And I cannot believe that anybody is so crazy as not to sign their employment agreement.
So you think he didn't want to get paid for selling 2 houses?
Well, obviously he didn't, because
Really?
you need to sign your contract. And if someone leaves my company for 1 day and comes back, they sign a new independent contractor agreement.
And so, but if someone leaves your company for 1 day and comes back, you then tell them you can't work for me unless you sign a contract, right?
Yeah, and I told him to come in and do it.
Apparently not.
And he didn't
Because you knew he was working for you, and you say you didn't know how hard he was working.
That's exactly
That's not
right.
the issue. The issue is he was working for you and you knew it, despite him not signing a contract.
And once he put the 2 properties in escrow.
So don't you think that's a convenient defense for you? You get to keep the money, but he doesn't, right?
That's not my defense.
You made money off of the 2 homes that he sold, right?
That's correct.
So you got paid.
Correct.
There's no contract, but he didn't?
Correct.
Because this is what you're saying to me now. He can work for me without signing a contract, but he doesn't get paid if he actually sells a house. You understand?
I totally understand.
Okay. So that's a very self-serving agreement you have in place for your independent contractors, sir.
No.
Oh, yes.
I credit him.
So that's the reason you didn't pay him for selling those 2 homes?
That is not correct. I credit every dollar that was earned in commission to his account. Every single dollar.
Does he have access to that account?
Yeah, anytime he wants it, at any time. He can call me. I will PDF it to him. He can come in. I will show it to him.
Does he have direct access to this account without going through you?
No.
So it's not really an account that he can actually get the money from. You know what I'm talking about? Because he wants to get paid. That's why we're here. Then why haven't you paid him since you put the money in his account?
Now for the rest of the story. He's rude, he's haughty, he's disrespectful. He starts ordering me around like I'm one of his minions, and I was mad. And I get real mad.
Coming up, the excuses for withholding the commission escalate.
You made money, he didn't. Why haven't you paid him for the homes he sold in 2011?
Because he owed Tara Realty so much money.
That's the fourth reason you've given me.
And later, a rent dispute causes these ladies to come to court.
April, she was short $35. May, she was short. June, she was short.
The gardener was not coming and doing his job.
Were the two of you not getting along by the end of this lease?
Plaintiff Jonas Tesfaye says Peter is refusing to pay him. He's suing for real estate commissions. Defendant Peter Eastman says he owes nothing because Jonas refused to sign an employment agreement. He's countersuing for past fees.
What happened, sir?
I learned that when he signed up with Tara Realty in 2010, I think it was, he let his license expire 27 days later. And I didn't know it, and he didn't tell me.
But he didn't sell any property in 2010. Did he have a valid real estate license in 2011, sir?
Yes, he did.
Can you show me proof that you had a valid real estate license in 2011?
Absolutely.
Because those are the two commissions that are in question. You, sir, have submitted evidence of the commissions you say you are owed from the two homes you sold in 2011. The first home, $1,775, and the second home, $1,880. The defendant is not disputing those amounts. He's disputing that you're owed this money in totality.
Correct.
Because it seems to me you're working awfully hard to trying to find a way for him not to get paid for his commission in 2011. It's one thing after another. In 2011, he had a valid real estate license to sell real estate, sir. Why haven't you paid him for the two homes he sold for you in 2011 that you made money on? He had a valid real estate license to sell those homes. You made money, he didn't. Why haven't you paid him for the homes he sold in 2011?
Because he owed Tara Realty so much money.
That's the fourth reason you've given me. I've asked you several times, why haven't you paid him? The first time, there was no contract. The second time, he was rude to you. Now he didn't have a valid real estate license prior to it lapsed at some point in 2010, which is not relevant. Now he owes your company money. You do understand, sir, that this is 2015. Slavery days are over. People don't work for free. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, $3,770. Your counterclaim is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. I'm glad that Judge Faith, she was able to see how liar and he was trying to deceive and keep all of the money that I was owed.
If you're cruel to me, we have a problem. If you're cruel to me and you work for me, you have a problem. And that's just the way it is in real life. You know, and I was mad. Was I looking for a way to get even with him? I sure was. I wanted to hurt him real bad. And I have hurt him. I've hurt him over the last several years. And he will remember me to the day he dies, and it won't be a fond memory. And I like that.
Plaintiff Maybelline Gallegos says the defendant was full of excuses every month when it came time to pay the rent. She's suing for unpaid rent and damages to her rental property. Defendant Monica Gomez says she doesn't owe because she paid her rent, and Maybelline is harassing her.
Maybelline Gallegos, you are suing the defendant, Monica Gomez.
Yes.
For $3,852. You say she owes you for unpaid rent, damages to your property, and cleaning fees?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why don't we start from the beginning and you tell me what's going on here?
Well, I had one of my tenants, and she said, I have a cousin that is looking for a place. And I said, well, you know what, just send her over and we could do the application. So Monica came and she did the application. And
when was this?
January 2014.
Okay, and did the two of you enter into a lease agreement?
Yes, we did.
Okay, may I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it a one-year lease, ma'am?
It was, yes.
And who did you move into the home with?
With my two boys and my grandson. And then my brother was going to move in there as well.
Okay, and when did you move out of the home?
It was in January.
January of 2015?
Yes.
So you only stayed 1 year?
1 year.
Okay, and you paid a security deposit?
Yes.
$1,350, that's
yes,
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how much was the rent?
The rent was $1,385.
So what do you say happened?
Well, I went ahead and I rented to her. She made her deposit. That was February. In March, she was short $35. That was March. April, she was short $35. May, She was short. June, she was short.
Short on her rent?
Yes. She was paying me $1,350 instead of $1,385.
Is there any particular reason why you were...
Well, $35 was supposed to be for gardening.
Okay.
And the gardener was not coming and doing his job. He wasn't doing any of the work, so...
And so you just kept $35?
I just stopped doing the $35.
Did you tell her that?
No, the rent, to my assumption, was $1,350, and then she wanted to add $35 for gardening
No, it
later.
says here on your lease. What do you mean your assumption? The lease says $1,385.
$1,385, yes.
So why are you assuming the rent is $1,350?
Well, $35 was just for gardening
That's
itself.
not what it says.
I understand that, Your Honor.
No, you didn't understand it. Because you're taking out $35 for gardening, but that's not what the lease doesn't say. The rent is $1,350, and then you pay additional $35 a month for gardening.
I was paying the $35.
You don't have authorization to adjust the rent on your own, is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Were the two of you not getting along by the end of this lease? Why?
I told her I get paid once a month, which is the 10th of every month. She said, okay, that's fine. It's even in the contract. But she would text me from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all the way up till I got paid, put the money in her deposit, into her bank. When are you going to pay me? I need my money. I need it for my bills. This can't be happening. You need to hurry up and pay me. Like, she would call me 10 times a day at work, and I couldn't answer my phone.
Your lease states that the rent is actually due on the 1st of the month.
Your Honor, I have right here, this is the original one that she gave me, and it's highlighted the 10th.
It actually says the rent is payable and due on the 1st. In parentheses, there's or 10th day of each calendar month and is delinquent on the next day. So who wrote in the 10th? You?
Maybe I did, but I do remember that she did tell me that...
Okay, it's there. Take a look at it and tell me what that means. Or just tell me why did you write the 10th? I just want to know. You have an interpretation of that.
Because she had told me that she gets paid on the 10th, and I was okay with it. You know,
So it was okay for her to pay on the 10th?
It was okay for her to pay me on the 10th.
Okay, so...
Coming up on Judge Faith, the disagreement over the unpaid rent gets personal.
And when I got back, there was Post-it notes all over my car and all over the front door saying individually notes, when are you going to pay me the rent's due?
No.
Plaintiff Maybelline Gallegos says Monica routinely shorted her on the rent. She's suing for unpaid rent and damages to her rental property. Defendant Monica Gomez says she doesn't know because she paid her rent.
Can I just add one more thing? There was one incident where I went to dinner with a friend and I had my car parked there and another car parked there. And when I got back, there was Post-it notes all over my car and all over the front door saying individually notes, when are you going to pay me the rent's due? And this was barely on the 4th. All over.
No.
Yes, my neighbor was watering his lawn and looking at me like, what are these Post-it notes? I was embarrassed.
There were Post-it notes on your car? Yes. Approximately how many?
About 5 on my car, 4 on the other car, my visitor's car, and then like 6 on the door.
Is that true?
No, Your Honor, that's not true. That's not me. That's not me.
Yes.
Did you put a single Post-it note on her car?
I did not.
That never happened?
I have never done that. I have never, ever done that.
Have you ever used Post-it notes to write her notes about the rent?
No, ma'am, never.
That's just a strange thing that someone would make up, that someone's writing Post-it notes and putting it on their car. Yeah. Don't you think that's an odd fact for her to come up with for court?
You know, we are in court, and you raised your hand, and we said that we're going to say the truth.
Yep, I did. 100% truth.
Do you have Post-it notes at home right now?
No.
Tell me about the damages.
Well, Your Honor, so she left holes all over the walls.
That's a lie.
The stove was filthy dirty. The microwave was filthy dirty. The bathrooms were disgusting. I mean, it was just grunge of film of everything that was
What damages do you say she caused besides leaving the place dirty?
The carpet, I had to go ahead and change it. I try not to change it because it was going to be too much money for me to come up with. I had the house professionally shampooed.
Show me proof of what you say you spent right after she moved out trying to get the house back in shape. Do you have photos of what the house looked like before she moved in?
I sent her all the photos. Did you brought them with you?
Ma'am, this is your case. This is your case.
You never sent me photos.
Yes.
Do you have photos of what the house looked like before she moved in?
I don't have them. I don't have any because my husband's, our son was playing with the computer.
Do you have photos of what the house looked like after she moved out?
No, I don't. Because
you don't have any photos to show me that the damages actually occurred. You've already kept her security deposit, which is set $1,350.
Yeah, but she did not pay for the month of
August. Did you give her a letter? Did you send her a letter stating what her damages were? May I see it?
I had to send it to my own property, and then they forwarded it to her.
She knows where my family members live. If she had wanted to give me something, she could have handed it.
Did you ever ask for your security deposit back, or you knew you owed money?
I texted her before I was leaving because I had to show the property 30 days before I left. She would bring people in to look at the house. If the house was so dirty, why would you bring people in, potential renters, to houses? The house.
What do you have for after you moved out? Did you ever ask her for your security deposit back?
I texted her and she said it could take up to 45 days before I give you anything back.
That's not.
Do you have proof that you paid someone $1,200 to paint and patch holes throughout the house?
Yes, ma'am. Here are all my receipts. And I try to avoid not to change the carpet, but the guy that moved in, he said he could not stand that smell, so I had to change the carpet in May.
I need to see, I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to accept it because it's your burden to prove your case of damages, and the fact that you came in here with no photos for me to look at, not a single photo for me to look at damages you say she caused to the home. No, put your hand down, because today is the day. Today is the day, and I'm not going to do it.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
In order for me to make an assessment as to the damages, I want to see some proof that you have to show me of how she left the home, and you don't have a single photo that you're presenting to me in court. Your evidence is insufficient when it comes to damages.
Can I explain?
Here's what we're going to do. You owe for rent that you didn't pay. There's not a single deposit on this entire bank statement that you ever once paid $13 to $85 in the year that you lived there. I think you're shaking your head because you know I'm right.
You are.
All right?
I agree with you. I mean, it's just...
So you just made me go through that entire thing in the beginning of this case for nothing.
No. Your Honor, I understand what you're saying. I paid that extra of $35 up to the last 4 months, but I have no proof.
Here's what you owe. I'm actually going to credit, based on her bank statements, what she has proof of. You still owe $2,315 in unpaid rent. I'm dismissing your claim for damages because you didn't bring the proof that you needed in court today. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $2,315.
Next time I make sure that I really check their credit. I won't go by any referrals by friends or families.
She doesn't care about her tenants. She's, in my eyes, a slumlord, and she doesn't take care of her properties.
A used car purchase backfires, causing bad blood between buddies.
I didn't want no bad blood with my friend, right? Because he threatened my life, man. I said, I don't think $1,000 is worth your son's life.
You know I was a criminal prosecutor, right? Is $1,000 worth your son's life? That means life or death.
And later, a lousy landlord or a tenant with tons of excuses.
That place was in good condition when she got it, and she's just trying to use that as an excuse and make this seem like more than it is.
I didn't leave, not a mess at all.
Here's how you solve all those problems, Ms. Hudson. Just pay the rent.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Quincy Nelson says his former friend sold him a car that had major mechanical issues. He's suing for a partial car refund. Defendant Dante McCrae says he doesn't owe any money because Quincy knew about the problems with the vehicle and he bought it as is.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Nelson versus McCrae.
Thank you, Juan. Quincy Nelson?
That's me.
You are suing the defendant, Dante McCrae?
Yes.
For $3,100 for a partial car refund. You say you purchased a car from the defendant and now you want him to refund your money?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why don't we start from the beginning, sir? Tell me what happened here.
Just a background of me and him. We've been friends maybe a year and a half to 2 years. We worked together.
How old are you, 22?
I'm 22.
So you're a year older, okay.
Yeah, a year older.
So what happened in this case? You end up buying a car from your friend, a used car, which I say never do. Don't sell used cars to your family members or your friends because you're going to hear about it later down the road. Go ahead.
So on June 2nd, which was a Tuesday, is the day I purchased the vehicle.
What kind of car is it?
A 2007 Pontiac G6.
Now, was this a car that you were driving? Why were you selling it?
Well, the car broke down, and I ride a motorcycle 90% of the days, rain or shine sort of situation. Car wasn't running. I knew it wasn't running. What I thought it was a fuel pump. I didn't have the money to fix it. I didn't really care to fix it. I wasn't driving it enough anyways.
And our agreement was that it only needed a fuel pump. He actually did the research to how much a fuel pump would cost. And the reason why I wanted to purchase the vehicle is because I run a business in the car rental service. So this would be a good asset to my collection because he was going to give me a deal on the vehicle. That was the only reason why I wanted it. And we agreed.
You run a car rental business?
Yes, to Uber and Lyft drivers. So I hold a couple of vehicles and they pay me weekly to drive my vehicles.
So you know that this car is not running?
Yes, ma'am.
So you don't even test drive it?
No, ma'am.
You can't test drive it?
No, ma'am.
And how much do you pay him for it?
$2,250 in cash.
Okay, so did you have anyone take a look at it? What did you do?
I didn't test nothing. I just took an agreement from my friend that, hey.
Okay, but you're buying a used car, and that's not running. Did you have to tow it to your place?
Yeah, we agreed to tow to.
So how do you know that it's just a fuel pump?
I was just taking my friend's words.
Go ahead. So you give him the money, you tow it to your place, and what happens?
The first day, my mechanic, he cranks it and he tells me, hey man, you sure you want to buy the part? You sure you want to pay me labor? The engine is not even cranking on.
When you bought the car, did you ever go over to his place and at least try to turn it on?
No, I knew it was not running. I was aware of that, yeah.
So the first time anyone tried to turn the car on after you purchased it was your mechanic?
Yes.
After the fact?
Yes. 2 days later, my mechanic called me, said, hey man, engine's bad. I'm like, really? No way. But it's okay. It's my friend. We'll figure something out to make it a fair business transaction. So I called
business transaction's over at that point. So what happens? You find out that it needs a new engine. You go back to Mr. McCrae and tell him what?
I tell him specifically, hey man, the engine is fried. I need my money back. And he agreed. He agreed to give me my full amount of money back.
Did you do that, Mr. McCrae?
I never agreed to give him all his money back.
What happened?
I told him I would give him a portion. I told him I'd give him $500. Reason being, he is my friend, and I agreed to give him $500 back because I didn't want no bad blow with my friend.
So what ends up happening? Do you give him $500 back?
No.
Why?
Because he threatened my life, man.
Really?
Coming up, the condition of the car is called into question.
Our agreement was not as is.
The sale of used cars is by default an as-is sale. And what that means is buyer beware.
And later, a decision not to pay lands these ladies in court.
When I texted her and told I was going to be late with the rent, I had half of the rent. And she just basically she didn't even want half of the rent.
Do you live in half of the house?
No, I don't.
Did you live in the house for half the month?
Nope, I didn't.
No, you lived there and occupied it for the entire month.
Okay, but
so
when
pay the entire rent.
Plaintiff Quincy Nelson says Dante sold him a lemon. He's suing for a partial car refund. Defendant Dante McCrae says he doesn't know because he bought the vehicle as is.
Let's
Mr.
go
Nelson?
to my penal code.
Hold on. To your what?
My penal code,
Your
according
penal
to California
code.
Penal Code 422 PC, defines the crime as a criminal threat is when you are threatened to kill or physically harm someone. That person is thereby placed in a state of reasonable sustain of fear. He was not in reasonable sustain of fear because
How do you know? Are you him?
I'm gonna tell you right now. He specifically texted me saying, "Yeah, what you said to me, to my mother was foul, man. I was ready to come to San Francisco and fight you."
Wait, what did you say to his? Wait, so the threat was to his mother?
No.
What did you say? You don't threaten a man's mother.
But
the
threat for another element of the penal code is the threat must be specific.
You know I was a criminal prosecutor, right?
Yes,
I'm familiar with the
that's
penal
why I'm referring
code.
to
I don't need
these
you to read it
codes.
to me. Just tell me what you said to his mother.
I don't think $1,000 is worth your son's life.
Wow.
And can that be true? Wait, can I explain?
Please do.
If I take your son to court, isn't that affecting his life?
Oh, that's what
now
you were
he
talking
can't
about,
work.
taking him to court?
Now he can't work. He has to fly. You know what I'm saying? So
come on now.
There you go. It has to be specific. I have to be specific. That's what this penal code is telling me.
Okay, you're playing with words now. Now I'm going to interpret your words for you. Is $1,000 worth your son's life? That means life or death. That's what that means.
Ma'am, my mom also did make a video with a video statement.
You submitted that to the court?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
let me take a look at it.
Judge Faith, I'm Megan Dante, the defendant's mom. He wanted more money, and when I told him I didn't have that, he then threatened my son's life. At this point, there's hard feelings, and bottom line is that Quincy bought the car as is.
And you're going to tell that to somebody's mother? What's wrong with you? Let me ask you a question. Is $2,500 worth your liberty for going to jail to make a threat over a $2,500 car?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And I apologize to his mother and him right after.
You want to come in here reading the penal code to me, talking about this wasn't really a threat because they weren't really afraid. How do you know? You can't testify they weren't afraid because you don't know that. You're not them.
But doesn't their actions prove that? Like if he's ready to come
I want
fight
you
me, how
to,
does that
Mr.
say
Nelson,
that
if you want to go to law school, I encourage you to do so because you need to have a better understanding of the statute, sir. I appreciate your effort.
I agree. I thought
but
I was on it until
you're not
I got here.
interpreting the statute.
Our agreement was not as is. And I have proof of in text that he said specifically, I would not have sold you the car if it was more than a fuel pump. So, you know,
That's not what the text says, man.
I can show the text.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about as is, the law and what that means.
Yeah, can
oh,
I
wait,
read
you
that?
have another statute you want to read to me?
That was actually tortious interference of business.
It's tortious interference of business, sir.
That's what I came here for, to learn from you, my sister. Because I know you the smart one.
That's not going to help you, Mr. Nelson. That's not going to help you.
That's why I'm here in front of you.
That's not going to help you.
Can I repeat that? Tortious interference of business. The defendant was not authorized to interfere with the parties' dealings. The defendant interference resulted in damages to the plaintiffs. The damages was to my pocket, Your Honor. I lost a lot of money. As of today, I have spent $6,800 on this vehicle that at the Blue Book value time that I bought it was only $3,800. And I got facts to prove it.
So why would you do that?
Oh, I had to. I was stuck with the car. There's no other options. Why would I not spend money and keep the car not running?
Let me explain something to you. The sale of used cars, even if you don't have a written contract, the two of you don't have a written contract here, there's just an agreement to sell this car, is by default an as-is sale. And what that means is buyer beware. You have a choice. You can take it or you can leave it. But if you take it, it's yours. In your mind, him telling you, well, there's a problem with the fuel pump, but otherwise it's good, it's some kind of warranty to you, but it isn't. It's just an opinion. He's not a mechanic. He doesn't know. It's just his opinion about the car. The duty is on you. If you really want to know, especially for a car that's not even running. You can't even start the car, and you're going to buy it without having a professional take a look at it. The first thing you did after you bought the car was take it to a mechanic. That should have been the first thing you did before you purchased the car. I feel bad for you. You're working hard, you're trying to run a business, and unfortunately, this is going to be an expensive lesson for you, but I can tell you this. At 22 years old, this will be a lesson that you've learned, and if you're going to stay in the car business, you will never do this again.
You dang right. You dang right. That's all I'm about is lessons. That's all I'm about.
And let me give you one more lesson. Don't tell people it's money or their life going forward when you're in a dispute on a case.
Yes, ma'am.
You do what you're doing now, bring it to court, and try to resolve it in court. Yes. Don't try to resolve it on your own in the street. You understand?
Got you.
Judgment in this case for the defendant. Good luck.
As far as me and Quincy's friendship, it's over. There's a lot of love lost there.
She's a brilliant woman, and obviously I need to learn a lot more before I think I'm going to win in preparing the case.
Plaintiff Tanisha Wilson says her former tenant stopped paying rent and then hid out inside the house. She's suing for unpaid rent and late fees. Defendant LaToya Hudson says she doesn't owe because she didn't like the conditions of the house. And Tanisha kept demanding the rent. She's countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
Tanisha Wilson?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant LaToya Hudson?
Yes, Your Honor.
For $1,580 you say she owes you for unpaid rent and late fees?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are countersuing, ma'am, for $2,500 for harassment and defamation of character?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I understand that Ms. Hudson is a former tenant of yours, and the two of you entered into a one-year lease agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did she first move into the home?
On March the 2nd.
March the 2nd of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did she move out?
I believe she left around the end of August.
August as well. Okay, so she wasn't in there a full year.
No, ma'am.
Are you a property manager?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of place is it?
It's a 3-bedroom bungalow in Northwest Detroit.
How much did she pay for security deposit and first month's rent?
It was going to be $700 for the first month rent and $900 for the security.
How much total did she give you for security deposit?
$800.
$800, and then the monthly rent will be $700.
Correct.
Okay, and who would be living in the home with you, ma'am?
It was myself and 3 children.
3 children? Okay.
Yes.
So what
Plus
months are you
240.
suing for rent that she did not pay?
June and July.
Did you pay any rent for the month of June?
For the month of June, no, I did not pay any
What
rent.
is the reason you did not pay rent for the month of June? You lived there in June, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I text her my car. I have a job. I have 3 children, and my car broke down. I came home from work one day. Car block was flooded, rolled over puddles of rain. I texted her and told her I was going to be late for rent, and it just went from, oh no, Ms. Hudson, that's not acceptable. Whatever it is you have to do, you can't pay me rent late. When I texted her and told her I was going to be late with the rent, I had half of the rent. And she just basically she didn't even want half of the rent. And I was texting waiting for a response, and she was like, okay.
Yeah, she doesn't have to accept half.
Okay, well, she didn't want to
Do you live in
half.
half of the house?
No, I
Did
don't.
you live in the house for half the month?
Nope, I didn't.
No,
I
you
didn't.
lived there and occupied it for the entire month.
Okay, but
so
when
pay
I was
the entire rent.
it was just too much going on with her harassing me and coming over and texting me all type of stuff, emoji faces.
So in July, then you don't pay rent because she's asking you for rent?
No, it just was just everything that was going on with the house.
Asking you for rent isn't harassing you. That's asking you for rent. You still live in the home, right?
Yeah, but I told her that I was just going to move.
And not pay rent?
Yeah, because
even if you move, you still live there, right? So you have to pay for the time that you live there.
Okay, I
So
understand
until you
that.
move, you pay rent.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the details of the rent strike are disputed.
It was only 2 days ago that I went over there and found out that she's actually gone and she left quite a mess.
Is that true? Ma'am? You're looking down, you're looking everywhere but me. Is that true?
Plaintiff Tanisha Wilson says her former tenant stopped paying rent. She's suing for unpaid rent and late fees. Defendant LaToya Hudson says she doesn't know because Tanisha was annoying. She's countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
It was just becoming uncomfortable with everything that was going on with the house, and I just told her I wanted to move. And then she said, well, you can go stay in a hotel with your kids. And I'm like, I'm not going to go stay in a hotel with my kids.
What do you mean uncomfortable with everything going on in the house?
Like, for instance, when I moved there, the faucets wasn't working, the toilet wasn't
What do you mean
flushing.
they weren't working?
It wasn't no running water coming out of the kitchen sink.
There was no running water
coming
in
out
the
of the
kitchen.
Exactly.
And did you report that to her?
Yes, I did.
And did she report that to you?
There was low water pressure. It was
Low water
so
pressure.
we put a new faucet on within a week.
Oh, so she fixed it within a week?
It was not within a week. She sent her brother out there. He came
Was
out.
it fixed?
It got fixed after a few weeks. Yes, it did.
So if you say it was fixed a few weeks later, that's way before June.
March, April, yeah.
Okay,
March.
so that wasn't a problem in June.
No, that was just part of a enormous problem. Everything that something was going wrong with the house, and
What else was going wrong?
The screen door. It wasn't no glass in the screen door. It was just like plastic.
Oh, you're right. That's horrible.
Yeah, it was like.
How could you live like that?
Okay, well, I have text messages in my phone with me just texting her about other things that was wrong, and she kept sending people over there. I would stay home from work on my off day, give her day.
I mean, because it doesn't sound like because there's one thing for you to not pay because you're living in an uninhabitable dwelling, and that's a legitimate reason to withhold rent. But from what you're telling me, there were some seemingly minor issues with the house, and when you told her about them, she would come in and fix them. What were the circumstances of her moving out in
She
August?
still hasn't told me that she's done with the house yet. It was only 2 days ago that I went over there and found out that she's actually gone and she left quite a mess.
Let me see the photos.
To give
Several
her the keys.
times she said what day she was going to be out. And each time that day would change. Over and over. She just could not keep her word. I even made a deal with her that if she could move out before I get a court date, that I wouldn't sue her and ruin her credit. And she said, do what you have to do.
Is that true? Ma'am? You're looking down, you're looking everywhere but me. Is that true?
The text messages prove everything.
I told her.
Let me see the text message.
Yeah, because she wanted to. She was going to my neighbors, leaving cars. Or every once I wasn't paying the rent, going to my neighbors, leaving cars. Well,
Why
watch
did you
the
leave
house.
the house looking like this? Why'd you do that? Why'd you leave all this trash and garbage all over the house?
Okay,
You didn't pay rent
Nastier-
for the last 2 months. What's your excuse for that?
When I moved there, that place was in good condition when she got it. And she's just trying to use that as an excuse.
Who broke the mirror in the bathroom?
It broke a couple weeks after just closed it. One of my kids closed it and it just broke.
And she's not even suing you for damages. Do you understand that? She's only suing you for rent.
Okay.
She could ask, based on these photos, she could ask for more because she doesn't have to clean up this trash after you move out.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
How does she defame your character?
Well, once I stopped paying rent and once I told her I was going to move, she come to my house every day. Like my ex-boyfriend, he would be there, and she would tell me the landlord just left, and I say, I asked her, did she let him in? She said no. She just said she's going to come over here every day until you don't pay the rent. There's a guy that stayed next door to me. She went over there and left him her business card and said, well, she haven't paid rent. She's supposed to be moving. Let me know if she's,
But you hadn't paid rent. You were supposed to be moving.
Okay, but who business is that on my block to go tell everybody that and to watch the house?
The business of the landlord to try to collect from you. And she's asking somebody else. Were you hiding out or something?
No, I was going to work.
Was she in the house?
Every day.
You were looking for her?
She was not returning my calls or texts, and her phone got disconnected, and she wouldn't give me her new number for a long time.
When you went to the house, was she there?
No, she was not there.
Ma'am, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Defamation of character is maybe a lot of things, but it's nowhere close to what you're describing.
Okay.
Nowhere close.
All right.
So having a conversation with her neighbors saying, even if she said, hey, she hadn't paid rent, that's not defamation, it's the truth. You hadn't paid the rent. She can tell anyone she wants to.
Okay. So how is it that that's anyone's business to go and spread my personal business? It's not having a conversation like.
Here's how you solve all those problems, Ms. Hudson. Just pay the rent.
Okay.
Based on everything I've seen here today, I was going to have a discussion about the security deposit. That's going to go towards damages and her having to clean this house. The way you left it, you're not getting any of your security deposit back. In addition, I'm ordering you to pay the 2 months of unpaid rent and the late fees. It's a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor, $1,580. Your counterclaim is dismissed.
It was very fair. Ms. Hudson lived there, and she didn't pay me. She should have. I like to say to Ms. Wilson that you should give up the business of renting houses. You make it seem like it's the tenant's fault, but you have people coming in and out the house because you're not a good landlord. You're not taking care of your properties.
A classic car is caught in an unfortunate fender bender.
I've been looking for this car for years. This is a classic car. I don't want to hook it up. I just want to get it back to the point where I had it.
I just had bad luck that day. I think that's why I didn't leave without giving them my information.
So you put more work in the car than what the car is worth.
And later, totally opposite work schedules creates tension between tenants.
Around 3 or 4 in the morning is when she would come home. She would wear high heels and it would be loud. We would obviously like, hey, can you keep it down?
What time go out? What time coming? I don't know. What's wrong with them?
May I see that one before you translate?
Pay what you owe, you rat.
The two of you had several words back and forth. You would move out 5 days after you moved in. Wow, you wasted no time.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Darnell Walker says he was away on a camping trip when the defendant smashed into his parked classic car and caused major damage. He's suing for car damages. He's accompanied in court today by DeAndre Cobb. Defendant Ariana Moore says she doesn't owe any money because another driver who fled the scene pushed her car into Darnell's vehicle. She's countersuing for emotional distress. She's accompanied in court today by Adrienne Moore.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Walker versus Moore.
Thank you, Juan. Darnell Walker?
That's me.
You are suing the defendant, Ariana Moore?
Yes.
For $3,600. You say she owes you for a car accident?
Correct.
Okay, you're countersuing, ma'am, for $600 for emotional distress?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with you, Mr. Walker. Tell me about the accident. What happened?
Okay, so January 17, 2015, I was on a camping trip with a group of friends. I received a call from DeAndre, who was house sitting for me that weekend, saying that my car was parked on the corner where I left it before I left on the trip, and that it was just hit by a car.
You were there at his apartment?
Yes, that's correct.
And tell me what you heard or what you observed.
Like you said, I was house sitting, and I was sitting in the living room. I heard a crash, then I heard some people arguing.
About what time was this?
This was maybe like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, so broad daylight.
Yeah, broad daylight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so did you go out and talk to the defendant and whoever else was there?
I went out and tried to talk to the defendant, but she was upset and hysterical, crying. So the mother stepped up and ended up talking to me.
Okay, so what do you say happened?
I'm following her because I have no license, no registration on the car. I'm following her. The guy tries to get over and cuts me off. So I'm trying to stop. I have no horn. I can't get his attention. So I hit one car, which was not his car. I hit one car. I knocked my mirror off and my tires off. I can't roll no more. I throw my car in park.
So this car on your left side tries to merge.
Yes.
And then you try to get out of the way?
Yes.
Okay. And was the car parked?
The car I hit was parked. Mirror was off.
Okay.
Yes.
So you hit a parked car on the street?
Yes.
Okay. And you say, but it was not his car?
It was not his car.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Because I hit it was a silver van. The mirror was off because my mirror was off and my tire was off because I hit that car.
So you say you hit the car behind him. So you left a note? What did you do?
Yes, she left a note on that car.
Okay, did they contact you?
No, they didn't bother. I was not bothered. They contacted me.
So what happened when the police show up?
I had left already.
Oh, you left?
I had left already because I had work. But my
no,
information...
that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Okay, I understand that.
No, I don't think you do.
Okay.
Because you're driving with no license or registration.
Okay.
Ma'am, you want to stand up, please?
Yes, please.
You're driving with no license or registration.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yes.
First of all.
Okay.
You hit a parked car.
Sure did, yes.
You say you leave a note. I don't know if you did.
Okay.
But you don't wait for the police to come. You just leave because you have to go to work.
No, he didn't say that. He just started getting information.
No.
And we never got information.
But you got pictures of my car.
Hey, you guys got to stop talking over each other.
So
you need to be more respectful.
Right now.
All right, let me see. Let me look at the photos.
So it's an 87 Caprice Classic. I've been trying to find it for like 8 years. So the car was...
So just tell me about the damages.
I'm sorry, yeah. So she hit the car behind me. The car hit my rim. Of course, my rim is blown out. The entire driver's side, all this damage here. And then it hit my rim here and bent the rim in, which knocked off my steering column.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Whose car is this?
Mine.
Okay, that's the damage to the right side of your car. Both of you were interviewed by the police, right?
No.
So you never spoke to the police about this incident?
No.
They called you when the police arrived and you came back.
I received a text.
You said that you came back to the scene when the police were there. So you never spoke to the police when you went back to the scene? What was the purpose of going back there?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, so that was my original question. Did you speak to the police about the accident?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you did speak to them?
Yes.
This report was taken at 3:40 in the afternoon on the 17th, the date of the accident. And what happens, according to the police, after speaking to the witnesses, you, ma'am, are in one lane on the right, and there's a car to your left. This car merges over, and then you merge over and hit vehicle number 3, which is the plaintiff's vehicle. There's no indication, according to the police report, that there were any other cars. In terms of identifying the parties, they said that the first individual involved, no information or ID was obtained because they fled the scene. Party number 2, referring to you, provided her information to you and then fled the scene. You did not have a driver's license or registration.
Nor insurance.
Nor insurance?
Nothing.
Are you proud of that? Because you're smiling when you say
I'm
that.
smiling because I'm not in denial about what I didn't have. I just got the car. So I just had bad luck that day, going to get my smog, and on the way back, get cut off, car accident, I don't have anything. That's why I didn't leave without giving them my information. I didn't have the proper things
I don't think you understand that you shouldn't be driving,
No,
period.
I understand that. I understand that. I didn't say
it's not bad luck.
She was instructed by individuals at AAA to do that. They told her, you need to do this, this, and this before you can get the car registered. And that's the reason why I was there, because I felt that those instructions were given to her erroneously.
And I agreed with her.
Okay,
You were not there.
so let me ask you something.
And
What happened when you...
We should talk about what you got from your insurance company.
Did AAA tell you to come in this courthouse and be disrespectful?
No, of course
Keep it
not.
down. Keep it down, all right?
See, y'all get Juan upset. Now, Juan never gets upset. You know when my nerves are easily worked, but when you work on Juan's nerves, you know something's going on.
Coming up, were the constant calls harassment or just handling business?
Who would be stressed out in that situation? Someone.
I'm not stressed. I'm stressed out he kept pressing me for the money for the car.
What are you so pressed about?
And later, was the apartment full of problems? Or did the tenant just have a bad attitude?
There was a lot of noise, 3 or 4 in the morning.
They are like security guard or something.
Plaintiff Darnell Walker says Ariana crashed into his parked classic car. He's suing for car damages. Defendant Ariana Moore says she doesn't owe because another driver pushed her car into Darnell's vehicle. She's countersuing for emotional distress.
The value of the car is in good condition is only $2,325. So why are you?
Oh, I get that.
Why are you asking her to pay for damages over the value of the car?
Because my car is a Caprice Classic. So I don't know if you know about Caprice Classics, but this is a classic car. I mean, a great automobile.
That car I just saw in that photo.
Much work. That car. Well, not now because my steering column's off. But I put so much work in the car. New engine, new tire. I just come back a week before from Seattle, driving my car.
So you put more work in the car than what the car's worth. That's a choice that you made.
Right, that's the choice I made. But I would like to restore it to that point. I don't want to hook it up. I just want to get it back to the point where I had it.
Your insurance company wouldn't even give you that amount, sir. You're asking her to pay almost twice the value of the car.
Because it's a.
You think that's reasonable?
Yes, I do think
and so
it is.
when you told the insurance company it was a classic, they said, "Here's your check for $1,200." Here's what we're going to do. What is your counterclaim about for emotional distress? Do I even want to know the answer to this?
Okay, so after the car accident, I explained to him I have no insurance, I have no license, what you want me to do? And he's like, well,
So who would be stressed out in that situation? Someone.
I'm not stressed.
Well, but you're suing for emotional distress.
I know. I'm saying I'm not stressed out. I'm stressed out. He kept pressing me for the money for the car.
You hear
him saying how much his car means to him, how much he want to put. He asked for double the money to get back in the car. I need to handle this.
But you got this money from the insurance company. So what are you so pressed about?
They gave me $1,281 in April. The accident happened.
Oh, so you were committing.
So I live in Los Angeles. 2, I'm a single father in Los Angeles. I need a car. I've been taking Uber everywhere.
You can drive your car?
No, my car's not drivable.
Oh, okay.
I can't get around. So this is money that I owe.
I get it now.
So if anybody has emotional distress,
so you're telling me
it would be me.
I'm about to sue all y'all for emotional distress. Here's what we're going to do. I do find you responsible for the damages to his car. I don't think that there was this other. Maybe you hit more than one car, but I think you hit his car too, based on everything that I've heard today. So on the question of liability, I do find you responsible. The other question is how much is she going to pay? And I'm certainly not going to order her to pay what you're asking for. And I know what you're saying. My car was parked, minding its own business.
That's it.
And now I end up going through all of this. I know it sucks. I know it does.
Caprice.
The value of the car in good condition is $2,325. When I subtract from that the $1,281 that your insurance company paid to you, I'm going to order her to pay the remainder of the value, which is $1,044. Judgment for the plaintiff, $1,044. Your counterclaim for emotional distress is dismissed. Good luck.
I didn't anticipate her knowing the value of a Caprice Classic. This was a very important car to me. I've been looking for it for years and years.
We know that's called a G-Ride in the hood. That's a gangster car. That ain't nothing.
Worth nothing at all.
Okay?
Plaintiff Christian Santiago says he and his mother were forced to move out of the defendant's apartment because of her loud lifestyle. He's suing for a security deposit. Defendant Galilea Campuzano says she doesn't owe any money because Christian's mother spied on her while they were neighbors and sent her rude text messages.
Christian Santiago?
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
were suing the defendant, Galilea Campuzano?
Yes, I am.
For $1,200 for the return of your security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Why don't we start from the beginning? You tell me what happened.
Me and my mom were living separately at the time. I moved out when I was 18, and we wanted to save some money, move in together. We just walking down the street, we saw a for rent sign, and we decided to call. She seemed nice over the phone. We talked. We ended up getting the place.
And is this an apartment that you own?
Yes.
Okay, and do you live in this building, or is it a separate apartment?
It's a house. It's 2 units. It's together. Okay. So I live in one, and I rent another one.
Okay. So did the two of you enter into a written lease agreement?
there was going to be a lease agreement later on. But
how much did you give for the deposit?
It was $1,200 plus $100 for the pet deposit, which I'm not disputing for. That's just
okay. And how much for the rent?
$1,200.
$1,200 for rent as well.
Yeah.
So you gave a total of $2,500.
Yeah.
Did he give you $2,500? $1,200 for a security deposit, $1,200 for rent, and $100 for a pet deposit?
Yes, they give me two.
Okay. And what month was this, sir? Did you move in?
We moved in June.
June 2015.
Yeah.
When did you move out?
July 1st.
July. Oh, so you were only there for 1 month.
Yeah.
What happened?
There was a lot of noise around 3 or 4 in the morning is when she would come home. That's obviously none of my business, but she would wear high heels and it would be loud. And we would obviously like, hey, can you keep it down? I don't like to be noisy, and I don't, because I study and I work.
Were you doing that?
Of course, I came 3 or 1 or 2 because I'm working all night. So I'm starting to work like 10 to...
What kind of work do you do?
I'm in the table dance.
Okay.
So this is my business. So, well...
So you work night hours?
Yes. Okay,
so that's the house. So you live on one side and the tenants live on the other.
Yeah, this is my house. Supposedly they lived in the right side. I live in the left side. But I don't understand. Probably they are like security guard or something. They checking me all of what I do, what time go out, what time coming. I don't know. What's wrong with them?
You made a choice.
Yeah.
You saw the apartment.
Yes.
For whatever was advertised, you walked in it and you physically saw it with your own eyes and decided to rent it, right?
Yeah.
Well, was there a problem?
Later on, I became infested with bed bugs.
Coming up on Judge Faith, did the text messages cross the line?
It says, you're ugly, you're a thief. You're going to end up on the news because you're horrible.
Plaintiff Kristen Santiago says he and his mother were forced to move because of Galilea's loud lifestyle. He's suing for a security deposit. Defendant Galilea Campuzano says she doesn't owe because she doesn't return money to people who are rude to her.
How long after you lived there did you get bed bugs?
It was like towards the middle of the month.
Okay, did you know about that? Can I see the photos, Juan?
They tell me that, but I don't understand.
Had you ever had a complaint about bed bugs before?
And she told me, no, never.
Did you bring the bed bugs with you?
No.
How do you know that?
Well, I'd never been bitten by a bed bug before in my life until I moved in there.
Oof. God, that's big.
That's an actual bed bug that I took a picture of on my bed.
How did you get rid of the bed bugs?
I had to throw out all my furniture in my bed.
That's basically what you have to do. And so you move out. Do you agree to let them out of the lease?
Let me tell you something. I'm waiting for her, and I explain what's going on with you. You need to fill out the agreement. You need to sign it.
Ma'am, but my question to you is, because you say you're having problems getting them to sign a lease, according to you, usually that takes place before you ever accept money from someone, before you give them a key to your place. That's when you say, sign this lease, and then I'll give you the key, and I'll accept your security deposit. But you didn't require that.
No, I didn't.
Okay, let me see the letter you want me. What is this you want to show me?
Well, my mom and her were at each other's throats, and I wanted to leave, and she wanted us out. So we had her write out an agreement that she was going to give us back the deposit if we moved out on the 1st, which we did.
Okay, you wrote this agreement? You want to see it?
It's her writing.
Oh, yeah, I think I did.
Okay, you want to just take a look at it to be sure?
Let me see.
Is that your
Yes.
handwriting?
Yeah.
Okay, may I see that? And this is dated June 5th, so 5 days after you moved in, the two of you had an agreement that you would move out at the end of the month? Wow, you wasted no time whatsoever. Okay, this is in Spanish. Can you translate that for me, Juan?
It says, June 5th, 2015, I, Galilea Campuzano, agree that Adela Santiago will move out on July 1st, 2015 at noon. Their deposit will be returned within 21 days as long as everything is in good condition. Sincerely, Galilea.
Okay, so did you return the deposit within 21 days?
I didn't give you back because they don't leave the keys when they move. So I need to went to the hard store.
So they didn't leave the keys, so you had to change the locks.
Exactly.
How much did that cost? $50?
No, $190.
Okay, $190. Yeah. Where's the rest of the $1,200? Why didn't you return that?
Because the mom, she started to bad grow with me.
Okay, but that's after the 21 days. I read your answer. After the 21 days is up, she starts texting you, asking you about the money.
Yes.
Okay, she would not have been texting you had you sent her the rest of the security deposit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened after 21 days? She starts texting you. What does she say to you?
She say me bad words in Spanish.
Juan, you want to get the phone?
Okay.
May I see that, Juan, before you translate? I like your phone case, by the way.
Thank you.
It's very clean.
I like to shine. So funny.
Okay, can you read these 4 text messages?
It says, you're ugly, and apart from that, you're a thief. Pay what you owe, you rat. You're going to end up on the news. The next person to be with you has to be blind because you're horrible.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
The two of you had several words back and forth.
Yes.
Clearly. But she was upset because you had not returned the security deposit, which you promised.
Yes.
You let them out of the leash. You told them you would return the security deposit,
Yes.
and you didn't. She was upset. The text messages aren't very nice. The two of you are going back and forth. However, that's not a valid defense to you not returning the money because she upset you and you don't like her anymore.
Yeah.
That's not the agreement for the security deposit. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean you don't owe them the money for the security deposit, okay? Now, I'm going to subtract the money for the locks that she had to pay. How much was that?
I have my evidence with me.
Let me see evidence for the lock that you had to change.
I have my receipt.
The receipt will be sufficient. Okay, so $1,200 security deposit. I'm subtracting $190 for the fee she paid to change the locks. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $1,010. Good luck.
In the future, I'll try to pay more attention to who I'm moving in with, have more time to analyze the situation and not settle.
I don't need a security guard in my house. She look like all the time sit down in the living room watching me. Well, I don't know.